This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And Doc, as you know, one of our fine sponsors at the DSP Network is The Athletic. Premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres can get 20% off the first year of an annual subscription by visiting theathletic.com/DSP.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get tired. I don't get tired. I don't get tired.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito and Doc, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner and fun. That is a Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles McElroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Always enjoy the conversation. Lots to get into in the world of pop culture and social media. Good stuff. Sir, what's been going on with you?
You know, a variety of things, including finding out more and more about Stephanie Clifford. Do you know who that is? Stormy Daniels. And what she has been up to in the past with our president, Donald J. Trump. And we'll get into that a little bit. And everybody's talking about that, right, ad nauseum right now and trying to figure out, does it matter? Is she credible? Because she, has now a couple of times changed her story, which always, hurts your credibility. But anyways, we're coming off of a week in which we already saw opening day for the Tigers, and we're looking forward to a semi-exciting, maybe kind of exciting Tigers season, you could say. And we talked a lot about that on this week's episode of Tigers Talk with 2 different guests. And now transitioning to some pop culture and, to the week that was, I guess, first and foremost, and how your week was spent, Doc.
No doubt about it, man. Just always enjoy the fact that we can do things with the network. Mm-hmm. You really came through with the jackets. Everybody's been talking about it. I know that you didn't wear it to the studio today.
I didn't. I probably, put a frown on your face because of that. I'll wear it next time, okay?
It's okay. Jason's been repping the jacket as well as Adam. It was good because of the fact that I said, look, the network's been doing really good. We've been doing a lot of covering of Detroit sports. You're out and about each and every weekend. You were out there covering the high school state basketball championships. And I said, you know what? At this point in time, we should probably have, some more DSP swag. At this point in time, we have the shirts, we have the hats. And so you took it upon yourself. You worked with one of our fine sponsors, Top Cat Sales, and you designed a really great jacket. And I'm really going to enjoy rocking it around town. And it's really cool, man. Good job.
You know what? Top Cat Sales really came through. We have 4 Adidas jackets we got, and cost-effective, I think. The Detroit Sports Podcast Network logo pops out on these black Adidas jackets, so I think they're sexy. And I posted a Snapchat video you didn't respond to or say anything about. I don't know if you liked it or not. Did you
know
not
what?
watch it, or you
I'm
just
not,
said forget about it?
You know what? As I've gotten a little bit older, I've kind of gravitated a little bit more towards Instagram. I'm not on Snapchat all that much anymore. The update really has kind of tanked the experience because of the fact that literally, I think we could spend hours and hours railing upon things where people tinker and make it worse. I feel like in terms of the product that Snapchat had, it was really great. Then they come out with this stupid update where the stories blend and things like that, and it makes the user experience not that great. So I've been more on Instagram and Twitter for the better part now of the last 8 weeks. I'm not on Snapchat all that much.
Chrissy Teigen and one of the Jenners slammed Snapchat, got off of it, and now the stock has gone downhill for Snapchat. They're losing money left and right. I think billions of dollars they've lost.
Exactly, because they made, I don't understand. When something's working, when people are on it, everybody was on Snapchat in terms of just getting on there, taking pictures of themselves, the quick nature of the photos that disappear, and then you go and make a change that is universally panned. I see it all because I follow a lot of people on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. Universally, nobody liked the update. So when you sent it to me, I have not yet to open it. So I don't even think I got the alert that you sent it or that you
You're
had
not even checking out Snapchat anymore.
No,
Look at you.
I'm not
you
on
have changed
Snapchat.
because you're 39 now. You know what I like that you said? As I've gotten older, just because you got, to 39, now that you turned 39, what does that mean? Just that you've gotten older. You were just doing it when you were 38. What do you mean? You acted like you were a little kid. You were doing it at 21. Snapchat wasn't around then, John. Come on, man.
39 is older than 38, which means 1 year older,
there
1
you
year
go.
wiser.
You're just changing your ways, and you're just so much wiser now, I can tell.
Yeah, I wanted to get your sense of what was it like to cover the high school championships out there at the Breslin. You went out there, you were walking the floor, taking great photos, videos, and you got to see Foster Loyer.
He
My
went
goodness,
off again, man.
A performance for the ages,
40
right?
points, 89 combined points through the semis and the finals. And guess what? Clarkston was up by 30 at halftime. It was over at half, Doc. it was that big of a blowout for Clarkson, winning Class A back-to-back seasons. Dan Fife now having 2 championships to show, and Foster Loyer going out on top, as he deserved to. He won Mr. Basketball, and once again, his team did everything it could to have a perfect season, nearly having a perfect season. And when I say that, I mean losing 0 games. Now, they lost 1 to my guy, David DeJulius, who came in studio for a Too Bad Hombres episode in the past. His team, though, prematurely bowed out in the first game. That was sad to see for Dave in his senior campaign. But he was a Mr. Basketball finalist, and Foster Loyer, man, he showcased why he was the best of the best all season long. And he came up shy of the all-time state record for points scored by a boys basketball player in the state of Michigan at the high school level. Just a few points shy, but he did break. Now, Dane Fife, do you know who that is? Dane Fife is at Michigan State, an assistant under Tom Izzo. He broke Dane Fife's record for points scored, career points scored at Clarkston. So he surpassed that, Foster, and pretty much broke a lot of other records along the way, and he's supremely talented, a 4-star dude. He's going to play his freshman year. I don't care what you say. He will play, maybe not major minutes or start game in, game out, or start it all. And you got Cassius there, still Cassius Winston is who I'm talking about. He's coming back for his junior campaign more than likely. So Foster's, behind him in the pecking order of point guards at least. But man, Loyer can ball. And I saw that on display firsthand in the state final.
For those of you waiting for the porn star talk, I think we're going to put it on hold for the second half of the podcast.
Okay.
A lot of things that have come to my mind now that I want to talk to you about.
Oh, look at this. Because you're just so much smarter, your stuff is just popping up at the top of your head.
When this podcast drops, it will be the day of the Final Four appearance for Michigan. They're taking on Loyola. What's been your reaction? Are you excited?
Well, too much Sister Jean, and I think the Sister Jean ride and, Palooza is over. It's coming to an end Saturday with U of M taking Loyola on in the Final Four, and I've had enough of the Sister Jean headlines. I mean, who hasn't?
Oh, come on. I love it.
I've soaked them all up. Hey, I'm a Catholic. I appreciate a nun. I respect her and her holiness and spirituality and everything else, Christianity, you know what? But I've had enough of the Sister Jean storylines being thrown down my throat. And now I want to hear about the 100-year-old grandmother of Jalen Rose, who came out, recorded the video, and there was a funny discussion on another radio show earlier this week about, was that, something that Jalen Rose planned out? Did his grandma really want to get on there and record a video herself and said, hey, Jalen, can you help me record this video? It probably wasn't the case where she just wanted to do it. It was probably where Jalen Rose said, hey, I'm going to get some traffic on Twitter, some hits for myself, my personal brand, build it up a little bit even more as I almost start a new show. He's a part of that Get Up show now, the morning show for ESPN, alongside Michelle Beadle, Mike Greenberg. And anyways, I think it was totally orchestrated by Jalen Rose. And he kind of took a little bit of criticism earlier in the week because of that most likely being the case for him in this video that was recorded by his 100-year-old grandma.
So you're saying that Jalen Rose, was not within his proper bounds to ask his grandma to even take the video. I mean,
I don't care. I don't care, honestly. It's about what other people have been saying. She could have said no. It didn't have to be done. And, it's funny, we're bringing up grandmas. Sister Jean's 98. Jalen Rose's grandma's 100. My grandma just turned 91 this week, so happy birthday to her, by the way. March 27th, the year of the Bronx Bombers. In 27, she was born then, my grandma Churko, Margaret Churko, so happy birthday to her, and happy, at this point, belated birthday to my grandma, Doc.
That's awesome. I'm not tired of the Sister Jean story at all. I feel like it's been a national story, and it's made the NCAA tournament even more enjoyable. The cutaways, the fact that Loyola is a team of destiny, they've made it to the Final Four. An 11 seed has made it to the Final Four, and they're going to play Michigan tonight. It's going to be awesome, Vito. What are you going to do?
Well, the thing is, once again, back to Sister Jean, I'm sorry. How many times can you cut away to her? How many looks are we going to get of her during the game? I mean, we've had a long enough run on the Sister Jean train. I love Sister Jean, okay, but I'm done with it. Michigan wins tonight. Clear cut. Michigan is a better team, a 3 seed facing an 11 seed. And you know what? Michigan, if they're any good, and they have proven they are a pretty good squad defensively and shooting the 3-ball, when they get going, now they haven't been great offensively and shooting the basketball and from long distance, specifically all tournament long, but when they get it going, they're good defensively and offensively. And Mo Wagner is an NBA draft prospect, a guy that could be taken in the first 15 picks of this summer's NBA draft. So Michigan is clear-cut the better team, and I think Michigan, under the leadership of John Beilein, gets it done tonight against the fighting Sister Jeans of Loyola.
Man, Vito, you're just a big fat hater, and it's unbelievable.
Sorry.
I love the story.
I have to be it.
Sister Jean is amazing. It's a situation in which she's rallied the university. She's a living mascot. And unfortunately, Vito, it's really kind of embarrassing on your part to totally dismiss this woman who is holy. Sister Jean. You're going to hate on Sister Jean?
Hey,
Oh
I've
my
met
gosh.
many nuns, and I've been very respectful of them. I'm still respectful of Sister Jean, by the way, too. The thing is what I love, though, about it, take now another viewpoint here. And what I love about it is that she's embraced the role completely. Like, she loves it. Like, somebody asked her, do you know that you're a national, like, icon now? And she said, international. Like, she corrected the reporter and said, I'm an international icon. Isn't that something? She has embraced the role completely. It's just like every single media member now, every single cutaway from the game during the broadcast is directed towards her. We got to get her on video during the broadcast, showcase her. We've just had all of those headlines, once again, and storylines drained down us, thrown down our throats. And I've had enough at this point, and I think, once again, the Sister Jean hype train comes to an end against Michigan on Saturday night.
Great run by Michigan, my goodness.
Yes.
Do you believe John Beilein's underrated? Do you think that
I think he is. He's
another
not-
Final Four appearance should probably elevate him more? More and more people are talking about the coach that is John Beilein.
Yeah.
The fact that the program's clean, the fact that he's an individual who has really run a clean program and has done some things that is really worthy of a lot of respect. And I want to talk to you about something. A media outlet's going down there. They're driving down there, but without a credential. And it's very interesting. I want to talk to you about that. But what do you think about John Beilein in terms of the fact that this is a coach who took over the program, the Michigan program that was much maligned. They weren't having that much success. It really was a dormant program, and he's brought them alive. And in terms of the last 5 years, people are even debating that the Michigan basketball program has surpassed Michigan State.
Well, here's a good question for you, and I heard this one as well asked on a radio show that we're not going to name. But anyways, about Michigan hoops, Michigan football, Michigan State hoops, and Michigan State football. About how you would rank those respective programs. Michigan basketball, Michigan football, Michigan State basketball, Michigan State football. How would you rank them 1 through 4? At this point, you would have to say, guess what's number 4, Doc? And not to hate on, you think I'm biased because I wore the Valiant Maize and Blue suit jacket
Yeah,
and
you're
2
right.
Michigan football games, but I'm going to say
Michigan football.
Michigan football has to be number 4.
Yeah.
Michigan is a basketball school. And it's funny, your boy Jim Rome, you love him, right?
Yeah.
He tweeted out, Michigan is now a basketball school.
100%.
Kind of sarcastically, but seriously, right now, who's done more recently for you? It's been the Michigan basketball program.
Vito, I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to try and have you go 14 days without bringing a topic that you heard on the radio.
Well, that'd be good. But it was a good topic, a really good question. My dad actually brought it up to me. So
That's
my
really
dad and I
good.
were discussing it. And I think it would have to be U of M football number 4.
Number 4, that's right.
And how about you rate the rest? So Michigan basketball, you could say is number 1. I think you can argue Michigan basketball right now is number 1 amongst those respective sports.
Michigan basketball, Michigan State basketball, then Michigan State football.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think Beilein, you know what, there's been this debate now. Has Beilein surpassed Tom Izzo? More recent Final Four appearances, 2 now for Beilein. Beilein is among now the upper echelon college hoops coaches. No doubt in my mind. And Izzo has taken a step back. And I wrote that, a dirty hot take piece, right, about Izzo and about how his status as a great elite coach has fallen. Mm-hmm. But guess what? He's beaten now. Did you see the stats, see the numbers that I put out in that article? I hope you read it. You might have liked it about your boy Tom Izzo, but only 1 win against Coach K a long time ago. 1 win against Boeheim a long time ago. 2 wins in totality against UNC's Roy Williams. 1 this past season, and then 1 way before that when Roy Williams was at Kansas, from my knowledge. So 4-23, I believe, is the overall record for Izzo all-time versus Coach K, Boeheim, and Roy Williams. That's not good enough, Doc. And I don't care that Tom Izzo's a Hall of Fame coach like those guys I just spoke about. But you got to beat those guys more than once and more than twice to really be regarded, I believe, as one of the truly elite college hoops coaches.
Yeah, in regards to your article about Tom Izzo, I do think it's a little bit premature to, throw the dirt on Tom Izzo and his career. I think that you obviously saw the future of Michigan State and Foster Lawyer and the classes that are coming in. If Jaren Jackson returns and he can get some players to stay 4 years, look at what Michigan has been able to do. They got some upperclassmen that are leading the team, and they also got some transfers that have done some things from the likes of the schools like Kentucky. So remember, just because a short 3-year window hasn't been great for Michigan State, I know as fans we kind of swing back and forth in terms of, the success of Tom Izzo. But in terms of his history, if he's done it before, he's got it in him. So I do believe Tom Izzo can bring the program back. And I do believe that within the next 5 years, it's going to be really great to watch Michigan State basketball and Michigan basketball go back and forth in terms of state dominance, because there's some 2 great players that are going to play against each other, hopefully, in David DeJulius and Foster Lawyer. It's going to be some fun times. And I do believe that the rivalry now between Michigan basketball and Michigan State basketball is going to be probably overtaking the football rivalry, because it just seems like in terms of the football programs, there's a lot of things going on, and all the top recruits really don't go to Michigan and Michigan State anymore. In the state, I mean, they do get players, but in terms of nationally, the best players are in the SEC. That's usually the conference that has the best football to watch and things like that. I really do believe in terms of covering college basketball, it's been really fun, and it's been a scenario in which it's been great to see Michigan and Michigan State and what they've been doing. So to talk about a media outlet, I'm kind of fascinated in that, last year I went to Indianapolis to cover the Michigan Wolverines with a credential. I, applied. I figured out how to do it, and because of our reach and our scope and our, professional capabilities with the stuff that I'm sending people, they allowed us to cover it with a credential. So the Wolverine Lounge, an outlet that I respect, Brandon Justice doing great work, been a frequent guest here on the network, but he's taking his crew down there without a credential, driving down there, and he's going to provide content and things like that. What do you think? Would you agree? Would you go down there? Would you be willing to drive down there without a credential, without being there behind the scenes? I mean, it just seems that Brandon is maybe a little excited to go down there and be around the Final Four, but without a credential, wouldn't you just go down there as a fan? It'd probably be more fun.
Well, I'll tell you this much, not to sound like an adolescent and a young child, but I live with my mom and dad, and I've got a leased vehicle. I've got a lot of mileage already on that bad boy from this and that, including going to U of M football games when Michigan maybe hasn't, turned out the greatest product. Anyways, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because it's not feasible for me, and I'm paying all this taxpayer money this year with my taxes that I just filed. So for me, I couldn't afford it. And all that mileage and wear and tear on my car. I mean, my car's already all banged up. It's got a lot of miles. I'm already probably 1,500 to 2,000 miles over on my
They're renting
vehicle.
a car. They're renting a car, so probably 3 or 4 people
so you're
chip
renting
in.
a car. Well, if you're paying, because you're the one with the deep pocketbooks, then I would do it. I don't got the deep pocketbooks like the doc here. That's why he is the DOC.
Yeah, it would seem like you just wait, to get a credential, go down as fans. Probably more fun.
I would just do it like that and have fun. You could drink a brewski or two. I mean, Brandon Justice is of age, right? Not to say, we don't want to advocate underage drinking here, but I think he's of age.
Yeah, of course.
He'll drink. But the thing is, you want to be a part of the media. He's a media member. You want to do it classy in a professional manner. But the thing is, without a media pass, a credential, you can't do it as an actual member of the media, right?
Especially
I mean, you can't be on press row or anything.
Starting your outlet 3-4 months, I mean, take your time with it. Go down there and do it right. Figure out how to do it. I mean, it took us 2 or 3 years to learn how to report and do some good things, but to each his own, right?
I mean, more power to him.
Yeah.
Because it's bold. It's a very bold take. I mean, an effort to give the Wolverine Lounge more pub and attention and whatnot. And he's already breaking stories via the Wolverine Lounge. So once again, Brandon has done a great job, right? Hell of a job with the Wolverine Lounge since it's been less than a year, I believe, that has been opened up, the lounge. And him heading it and having now a staff of writers, more power to them. A lot of respect that we have to shower him in that Wolverine Lounge with. But the thing is, I don't think I would do it. Actually, it's not I don't think I would do it. I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't, because I can't cut it financially. I mean, like I said, it's not feasible for me financially and with my vehicle. Once again, we could have done the rental car, but then you're having to pony up for it. Would you be willing yourself to pony up for it without a credential?
I feel like in terms of covering the NCAA in our back corner at LCA, great stuff, right?
That was good enough.
Exactly.
Good enough for us. We want to keep building. I know it's bad to say that's good enough technically. We don't want to settle. We're not settling for anything. We want success at the highest levels of
Michigan
success.
in the Final Four.
But then you have to cover U of M hoops in the Final Four, not your Sparty.
I already did it, and been there, done that.
That was painful enough. Now, that was the first round, right? The opening contest in last year's tournament. Michigan won. We know they made the Sweet 16 run. And now, not to harp on the criticism that I've already made, knowing of Tom Izzo and MSU's basketball program, but MSU now has not made the Sweet 16 round in 3 straight seasons. I mean, how do you respond to that, Doc? That's a long gap of time for Tom Izzo, right? Who used to make, the Final Four every 4 years.
It's tough. Yeah, exactly. It's, for Michigan State fans, for the Michigan State basketball program, it's a, really tough time. It's a time where everyone's reflecting on what Tom Izzo has brought to the table, what he can bring to the table going forward. And it's a major disappointment for everyone involved, Vito, in that you had these talented individuals. You got Miles Bridges, Jaren Jackson. You had a team that maybe was thought of as a team that was really better than what they actually were. It's really tough because of the fact that we all thought that Miles Bridges was good enough to basically carry the team. And with, the likes of Cassius Winston, Jaren Jackson, Ward, and others, Langford, you felt like that had the making of a team that could do some things. And, you do go back and forth and you question, the validity of Michigan in the Final Four because of the fact that...
Oh, come on. Because of who they've played, you're going to say?
And everybody, even a hack like me put them in the Final Four. My wife put them in the championship game.
I did.
Just based on that bracket. And so you have to, at least at this point in time, give credence to the fact that, Michigan went out there and won the games, but you're not beating North Carolina. You're not beating Xavier. You're not beating Duke, Kansas, Syracuse. You're not beating the blue chippers. You're beating, the seeds that are way down on the totem pole, whereas you would expect a 3 seed to go out there. And look who Michigan's playing in the Final Four. They're
Okay,
playing
but pay them
Loyola.
respect for what they've done, Doc. Come on, man. You're better than that. Respect.
I respect them, but you have to also bring up the fact that their path was pretty easy.
Cool. Bring it up. Bring up their route, their easier path. But thing is, you're still beating the best 64 teams, right? It was 64 after the first 4. Come on. And Loyola still has had a great run, great team now.
Just pinpoint the last game. Florida State's down by 4 against a team that, has, history of free throw problems. There's 11 seconds left, and Leonard Hamilton's just twiddling his thumbs. That was probably one of the worst coaching decisions of all time.
And then, what is that, Dana Jacobson? Dana Jacobson
what are you
in
talking
the
about?
post game, a U of M alum, that was horrible what he did to her.
But I think
totally
he was shocked.
unprofessional.
I think he was totally shocked. I think he literally...
That she asked him that question?
I think he totally forgot what was going on in the game, and he got called out, and he was totally shocked. He probably thought the game was out of hand, like 5 or 6 points, when they were only down 4. So, Michigan got lucky in that. They've also benefited from Kelvin Sampson, unbelievable late in the game. They probably you could argue they could have been eliminated in the second round.
Not putting a big man up on the inbounds pass, you're saying, right?
How do you let Jordan Poole take that shot? Exactly. How do you not foul? How do you not do anything other than what he did? So Michigan's been lucky, and they've been good to be in this position. But I'm actually, and I hate to say it, but I'm rooting for them to win versus Loyola, go up against Villanova, and get their asses handed to them.
You want to see them get smacked. I know that.
Awesome. I would love that. Of course I'd love that.
Well, I thought Duke could do it. I was hoping Duke for my bracket. My bracket's completely done now.
Yeah.
So I had Duke actually playing Michigan in the final. I almost had that happen. So my bracket was almost looking really, really sexy.
But it looked good if you had Duke winning it all, you mean?
I had Duke winning it all over Michigan. Michigan still, they could still make the championship game at least. And that would be good for my bracket to some magnitude, but obviously not as good as if Duke was still alive and ended up making the final and winning it all. But I think Nova and Kansas both beat. And now... Kansas, I think, is the easier opponent than Duke, by the way. I think it's good for Michigan that Kansas beat Duke. I think Michigan has a slight shot, at least, of beating Kansas in the championship game, where I don't believe they had a shot at beating Duke, Doc. Not this year.
If the Wolverines advance to the finals on Monday, you want to go to Ann Arbor?
For what? Are you paying once again? It comes back down to my car, the mileage. Are you paying?
Paying for what?
Have you going to pony up?
See, the problem is, though, I want to go see a celebration. I want to see, the excitement. I don't feel like the odds are in the favor of Michigan actually winning it all. So, but also, too, there is value for me to see Michigan
you want to
fans
see
cry.
everybody somber and crying their eyes out? You want to see that bad.
We could go as reporters. We could just go, wearing our jackets and then
interview the fans as the night's going along, right?
We could. We'll see.
And, I'll say this much. I think it's worth it if Michigan plays Kansas. I think Michigan can beat Kansas,
okay.
is my point.
Okay.
Playing Nova, I don't see U of M pulling it off.
Something to debate. Okay, very good, Vito. Let's take our first time out. We got to come back and talk about the further degradation of the field that you chose to work in.
Oh,
quite
gracias for saying
embarrassing for Anderson Cooper. I'll leave you with that as a tease. You know where my stance is regarding the filth that was put on 60 Minutes, but there was a reason why it was put on. We'll talk about Stormy Daniels next on this edition of Two Bad Hombres. Vito, I want to tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking for a great place to host all of our recorded audio. And thank goodness we found Podomatic.com. Why do we use Podomatic? Super easy, very friendly, great customer service. When you and I, Adam, Jason, Steve, when we record great audio, we upload it very quickly to Podomatic. Just last week, you had the opportunity to interview Dallas Cowboy Jordan Lewis. You've interviewed Super Bowl winning champions a la Brandon Graham. And when you get that audio, you go, Doc, what do I do with this? I'm like, Vito, boom, do X, Y, Z, and you're able to upload it. Even a guy like you, who's an insubordinate, who doesn't listen, can put up the audio and generate a great link so that all of our supporters can find it. Imagine we want to send out a link to great guests that we invite here to the network, and you invite them, and you give them a link, and it freezes or it doesn't work. We wouldn't be able to book these great guests. You wouldn't be able to go out and get these awesome interviews to bring to the network if we didn't have a great host site. So if you want to build a network, if you want to have a podcast that's successful, that can earn sponsors, that can earn supporters, you got to have a great host site. Vito, Adam, Jason, all the hosts here on the network, we're going to recommend Podomatic.com.
Yeah, we coming now.
And Doc, for a lack of better words, we have a stormy situation to talk about here. In Stormy Daniels, her 60 Minutes interview with Anderson Cooper of CNN, also of 60 Minutes fame, and a credible journalist who you would like to attack right now for his lack of great questioning and journalistic job well done?
First and foremost, I watched because basically the NCAA coverage was a commercial for the interview. Each and every time they were advertising it during the games, it was Duke versus Kansas, and it was just a nonstop advertisement for Stormy Daniels going to be on this big interview. And in the end, I definitely sat by and watched it because I like titillation. I like to see salacious things. So for the intended purpose of what they were trying to do, of course they're going to appeal to a nincompoop like me who will sit there and watch Stormy Daniels because I'm a fan of her work.
And she's a porn star. Yeah, I was about to say, that's why you're watching, because she's a porn star.
Vito, in the age of political correctness, please say it correctly. She's an adult film actress, and she's a professional.
Absolutely,
and so
a professional adult
please
film
give her
actress.
the proper credit. And so it has been revealed, and she acknowledged it, that she indeed had an affair with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump cheated. Obviously, he cheated on his wife, but the first and foremost, I don't hate on Donald Trump, because if you think that Donald Trump tagging porn stars and Playboy models is going to make me go, oh my God, this is a terrible president. Dude, I got more respect for him. A dude that ugly, a dude with that personality can get chicks to go down and do things for him. That's unbelievable. I got more respect for him.
Good to hear.
So I definitely was like, damn, Donald, you just got to show up. And you know what she said? I'm going to play a couple of clips here. She said that she actually looked at him and was like, ew, when she thought about having sex with him, and she still had sex with him. Why? That's why I implore you to be rich, Vito. That's why I tell you, hustle, get rich, because even you can get laid like Donald Trump by porn stars if you have big bank account, if you have that swagger. And basically in the interview, you know what she said? She basically slept with Donald Trump just for maybe the glimpse of an opportunity to be on The Apprentice, to be on TV. Because what happened was, the first go-around, they met, and, Donald gave her the spiel, and she had sex with him. Then the second go-around, he kept calling her, dialing her up, hit her up, and he basically, she basically then rebuffed him and said, no, the second go-around, she did not have sex with him. So what did Donald do? He yanked The Apprentice from her and said, look, I'm sorry, I can't do it, and he didn't put her on. So in the end, win-win for him. Big problem, though, is that he was married. His wife is pregnant. It's not the most moral thing to do. But as a guy like me who believes that most men cheat anyway, it's just, how are you going to turn down Stormy Daniels at the height of her excellence in terms of her acting abilities? How are you going to turn that down? You can't. So
I would. If I had
on
a
that
wife.
front, first and foremost, do you think less of Donald Trump because he cheated on his wife with a porn star and a Playboy model?
Yes, but I didn't freak out because I already knew he was that kind of guy. He was of that, he was already of that magnitude where he was sleeping with porn stars, with these women, when he was with other wives as well before Melania. Think about it. He's cheated on his wife and wives, let me tell you that, multiple times. He's not the most morally upstanding guy, right? Or ethical guy. He's not. We've known that about this president for a long time. So it didn't change my opinion of him, but still, it's disgraceful. It's immoral. It's not called for from the president. And I know Bill Clinton, other presidents have done this and probably have that we haven't heard about and learned about. Like even JFK, way back in the day, right? He had his way with Marilyn Monroe, some great, beautiful actresses. The thing is still, it's not good. It's not good. And he held this power over her and used it to, to his advantage. That's not right either.
Grab him by the pussy.
Because she assumed that she would be on The Apprentice or Celebrity Apprentice.
Grab him by the pussy.
None of that is right or called for. He's immoral, and that's what he's been known as over a long, long time. He's been this philanderer and whatnot. And
grab him by the pussy.
Yeah, he's not a good guy based off of that and multiple examples. Anyways.
Bad guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, but we've known that. So, this interview didn't, freak me out and say, oh, my God, I thought he was a morally upstanding guy.
You watched it
that couldn't do any wrong.
Top to bottom, you watched it?
No, but I watched bits and pieces. And Anderson Cooper, he, brought up, some shots from it on his show.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper 360. All right.
Yes.
Here's the first clip we're going to play where she kind of describes her reaction to the advances made by Donald Trump. It's so fascinating because she was basically repulsed by the man.
It started off all about him, just talking about himself. And he's like, have you seen my new magazine?
He was showing you his own picture on the cover of the magazine.
Right. And so I was like, does this normally work for you? And he looked very taken back, like he didn't really understand what I was saying. Like, does just, talking about yourself normally work? And I was like, someone should take that magazine and spank you with it. And I'll never forget the look on his face. And he was like,
what was the look?
Just, I don't think anyone's ever spoken to him like that, especially, a young woman who looked like me. And I said, give me that. And I just remember going, you wouldn't. Hand it over. And so he did. And I was like, turn around, drop him.
You told Donald Trump to turn around and take off his pants.
Yes.
And did he?
Yes. So he turned around and pulled his pants down a little. He had underwear on and stuff, and I just gave him a couple swats.
This was done in a joking manner.
Yes. And from that moment on, he was a completely different person.
How so?
He quit talking about himself, and he asked me things, and I asked him things, and it just became like, a more appropriate.
Became more comfortable.
Yeah.
Drop your pants, Vito. He's like, oh, all right, no problem. So it's one of those things where it was entertaining. It was great. So that's what people tuned in for. They wanted to hear, like, okay, is she going to talk about his junk? Is she going to talk about Donald Trump and his phallic symbols? What is she going to talk about? So that was one of the big things, was kind of describing the scenario in which, she had sex with him. All right, Vito, this clip is actually the one where she talks about the encounter. She did talk in the clip that we just played about, spanking Donald Trump. This clip that I'm actually going to pull up, I had them mixed up here in the order. But number 2, the clip is her kind of talking about the meeting where she saw him and was kind of like, well, really, I'm not interested, but she still engaged in the sexual act with him.
I asked him if I could use his restroom, and he said yes. It's through through the bedroom, you'll see it. So I excused myself, and I went to the restroom. I was in there for a little bit and came out, and he was sitting, on the edge of the bed when I walked out, perched.
And
ready to get down.
What went through your mind?
I realized exactly what I'd gotten myself into, and I was like, oh, here we go. And I just felt like maybe... it was sort of, I had it coming for making a bad decision for going to someone's room alone. And I just heard the voice in my head, well, you put yourself in a bad situation and bad things happen, so you deserve this.
Might as well fuck him.
And you had sex with him?
Yes.
You were 27, he was 60. Were you physically attracted to him?
No.
Vito!
I love that answer, too, that she wasn't physically attracted to him. But she was
60!
attracted to his money, the wealth, his bankroll, all of the above, right?
Let's finish this out.
Not at all.
No.
Did you want to have sex with him?
No. But I didn't say no. I'm not a victim. I'm not.
It was entirely consensual.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You work in an industry where condom use is an issue. Did he use a condom?
No.
Did you ask him to?
No. I honestly didn't say anything.
After you had sex, what happened?
He said that it was great. He had a great evening, and it was nothing like he expected, that I really surprised him, that a lot of people must underestimate me, that he hoped that I would be willing to see him again, and that we would discuss the things that we had talked about earlier in the evening.
Being on The Apprentice.
Right. I asked him if I could use his restroom.
So, Vito, what do you think about that? The fact is power, money.
That's what I mean.
The aura
Holding that
of
over
Donald
a
Trump.
female is horrible. And we were just talking about the Me Too stuff. She wasn't a victim. She said yes, it was consensual. But I'm saying he still held that power as an authority figure with big money over her, and she felt like she had to have sex. Now, she didn't say no. So she's not, a part of the Me Too movement. She's not a victim of sexual abuse. She is not. But still, doesn't sound very good for the president. And then to be spanked, I was laughing just hearing, like even you sagging into that video saying about him being spanked. Spanking Donald Trump. That's so hilarious to me. I was cracking up to myself because I'm thinking, what if that was Barack Obama? I'm thinking like somebody's spanking him now. Now I'm thinking about all the other presidents getting spanked. It would have been unheard of. And it was morally reprehensible for Barack Obama. Would have been from the Republican Party if that would have happened with him sleeping with a porn star or a professional adult film actress. Anyway you want to call it. It's not right. It's morally reprehensible. And he's our president, and this is happening. And he had the biggest thing is he cheated on his wife. It comes down to that. And that is immoral in itself. I will never advocate that.
Exactly. That's probably the thing that is most reprehensible, is the fact that he cheated. And I wonder what his wife is actually thinking as we record this right now. It'd be interesting to see how she would react to the news that multiple people now have come out and said that they've slept with
She
her
probably
husband.
wants to leave him. She never holds his hand in public. Have you seen that kind of stuff, the videos of that?
Yeah, it probably has gone downhill probably since he's been president, right?
How about your wife? Any wife out there, if they found out, your wife found out you just slept with 2 porn stars, would that be acceptable?
Yeah. Well, Well, like I said, I look more favorably upon Donald Trump. You look upon him less favorably. I'm like, well, dude, good for you. But he was 60 at the time, and she's 27.
Sick, man.
And just the fact that, Vito, I think you're kind of really distorting how it went down. She met up with him, and they were talking and things like that, and they had a discussion. And
But you have
kinda
sex after a discussion like that?
Yeah.
But you're kind of
Vito,
advocating it?
obviously
Wait,
it's going to
you've
go
had-
down that
wait, no,
route.
You've had sex after like a nice discussion? Oh, let's have sex now.
Yeah.
Otherwise-
Of course. That's
Of
what
course,
he
of
looks at
course.
her as a sex object.
Well, that was wrong. That was wrong in all of this,
Well,
right?
You knew what she did for a living. You obviously want to try it out.
So you're advocating. So if you met a porn star and you weren't with your wife, because you wouldn't, I know you honestly wouldn't do it if you had your wife, but if you met a porn star out of the blue, you would think that first encounter, eventually you would have sex with her. That's what you're admitting to.
I'd have the thought. I don't know if I had the balls to carry it out, but of course I would. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course I would. Yes. So did Donald.
Well, at least you're man up to admit it.
And Donald said, look, I have this show called The Apprentice. Maybe we can work something out. Let's talk about further.
Let's not but really have sex, you know.
Exactly. Okay, so that's step one. We both disagree on how we view Donald Trump after this. Now, the situation is this. Everybody knew that this would draw eyeballs. 20 million people plus watch this. But in terms of a journalist, Anderson Cooper, come on, man. You sold yourself out. You're a sellout. It's not something that I would do for ratings. I mean, there are some things that I would probably want to do in terms of people I want to talk to, things like that. But in terms of the network history, have we had any adult film actresses on the network? No. Have we done anything in terms of being really over the edge, unethical, or doing things just for the sake of attention? No. And so I do believe we do have some standards. Okay, I will ask you this. Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford is coming to Detroit. Truth. She's going to perform.
Oh, she is, really?
You want to book her?
Well,
you want to put her on the air on Two Bad Hombres. Would you watch? Because
it's
another
newsworthy.
podcast, a favorable podcast, a big-time podcast, already booked her and she canceled. Listen, Vito, she's coming to a strip club in Detroit. She's going to perform, and she's going to, do her thing. Would you go out there and support her?
I was
and
about
watch?
to say, are we going to go watch her? Because you want to go watch her, too.
She's 39 years old.
Would your wife
Would you go
allow
out
that?
there? And I wouldn't tell her. Would you go?
Would you
Would you go out there? Or do you want
to do an interview?
Would you book Stormy Daniels, a.k.a. Stephanie Clifford, to come on this podcast?
Yes. I don't think I find anything wrong with what Anderson Cooper did. He's not a sellout.
He's a sellout.
It's newsworthy. He did it with our president. Time out. So you wouldn't interview somebody that had an affair with the president.
Okay, Vito.
How big is that ratings-wise?
Vito.
Right? 20 million viewers like you said, right?
That day came and went once the news hit that Bill Clinton, had an intern perform oral sex on him in the White House. That left all decorum. Everything was done from
so
there.
not anything can happen in the White House?
No, it's talked about more, yes, but that show people that, but this has been going on for decades. John Kennedy allegedly had done some things. Presidents have sex with women. They're powerful people. Women are attracted to power. It's like it's a marriage made in heaven. Powerful men and women are going to go together. So it's not news to me. And one, I don't care because of the fact that I'm already assuming that most senators have banged their intern. Most of the men in power have at least thought about, having
it, but maybe didn't carry it out. Which
exactly.
Let me ask you.
But it's not newsworthy to me.
Yes, that's fair.
For me, the sexual activities of the president, whether he's married or not, it's not news. I'm not pumping that out there for ratings. It's not news. I would rather see Donald Trump debate the news regarding, Michael Cohen and things like that, what's been going on. I would rather see the debates regarding the investigations. I would rather see how the economy's been doing. I would rather see other type of news. I say this is not news. If you want to spend every waking moment trying to nail Donald Trump, then that's what you're going to do. But you got to remember that by doing this is the formula that CNN used that got Donald Trump elected, which is really ridiculous to make it the 24-hour Donald Trump channel. But this is what he's gotten. He has 24-hour coverage of his life on CNN and Fox News. On CNN, it's all the bad stuff, and on Fox News, it's all the good stuff.
Yeah.
So he's living life. He's like, look, I got 4 years of people just talking about me. Dude,
he's loving it. He's loving life.
He's loving life, and this kind of stuff, though, there is a little bit of newsworthy in it in that she signed the non-disclosure agreement just months before the election. So that's newsworthy in that she is breaking it, and she's saying that she got threatened to sign it.
Yes.
So that could be something if investigated further and it was found that Donald Trump ordered someone to rough up Stormy Daniels to sign the non-disclosure agreement. That's what she's coming out basically claiming. So that could be something that if it's proven, then it could be really damaging to the president. But in terms of his sexual escapades, I feel like I feel like the left is using her to bring down the president, and the right views her as an opportunist. And it's just bad for her. I think it's a bad look. She's going to get great exposure, great coverage out of this, but in the end, you did sign an agreement, and now you've broken it, and it's going to be interesting to see if, Maybe I think she kind of recognized that, is the president really going to sue me for $1 million? Because he'll then have to admit that he had sex with her.
That he did it.
Yeah,
that means that you admitted to having the affair, having sex with her. Yeah.
For her, it's win-win. She's going to make a boatload of money. Would you want to see her in person?
Well, I was going to say now, she said
Have you been to
Anderson
strip
Cooper.
club? Have you been to strip club?
Yeah.
You like them?
They're fine. They do what they have to, I guess. I'm not a big advocate.
They're fine.
I'm not going to go be ecstatic.
I know right away. I now know how to judge when people answer. It's fine. That means you haven't gone with a DOC. When you've gone with the doc.
Well, maybe we'll go
When
then.
you've gone with the
you
doc.
take me.
Yeah, when you've gone with the doc, your answer will be, it's the baddest place on earth. And if you haven't gone with the doc, it's not as fun of an experience. So maybe we'll look into going to the truth and seeing her perform. But the tough part is dances with her probably cost like $200 a pop.
Well, she can charge whatever she wants to. I mean, she slept with the president, and it's wide open. It's out there to everybody. But I wanted to say really quick, Anderson Cooper asked her about the name of her tour. Do you know what it is? Make America Horny Again. Which is funny, right? She said she didn't have any say in that becoming the name of the tour.
Of course.
And she doesn't say it herself
But
when
Vito,
she's booked for events, when she's on this tour going to places like Detroit.
Okay, then the other thing is if there was an opportunity for Stormy Daniels to have a sit down with Vito.
Well, come in
Would
here.
you do
I want
it?
her to come in here. Yes, I wouldn't mind that.
You would?
I like these sit-down interviews. We can say we had Stormy Daniels on. Once again, if she slept with the president, it's newsworthy.
Go do
it's
it
still
then.
news.
Go
and
book her.
you know how we know it was news? 20 million viewers once again saw that 60 Minutes interview for Anderson Cooper with her, and then watched him on Anderson Cooper 360 the next day and watched videos of this that spread like wildfire on Twitter, on social media. So trust me, this was newsworthy. And you know what? President Trump, this might not cost him anything. He still has his fan base, right? His core that believe that he can do no wrong, and like his approval ratings have gone up somehow, some way. So this isn't going to cause him to, face a lot of negativity from his base, from the Republican Party that still does admire and respect Donald Trump as president and believes that he's done a favorable job as president. But the thing that could cost him, get him booted out of office, get him impeached, is the Russia investigation. That's more newsworthy in terms of what could cost him politically and cost him to be booted from office, as in being impeached. That could still happen. And another the big time newsworthy aspect of this Stormy Daniels situation is that supposedly somebody threatened her and her daughter's well-being. How about that? If Trump hired a hitman or had his lawyer go out there and hire a hitman, that's wrong, and that's grounds for, how many things? For impeachment, perhaps, as well. So that could cost him the presidency right there. If he hired a hitman, that's illegal, and he's booted out of office. So he better hope that's not true, that he had no hand in that, and that, if it was true, and that becoming reality, where somebody went to her in a parking lot and said one day that, your daughter, and whatever way that the hitman, supposed guy, said what he did. But in so many words said that you better watch out for your daughter and for your well-being, for your life. Because if you go public with this, right, with what she has now done, your life could be in trouble. And that's not right. I mean, that's grounds for imprisonment, right? I mean, he could be thrown into prison. I mean, the president could be thrown into prison and you're impeached, obviously.
So what would you
for
ask
something like
Stormy
that.
Daniels if she came in here? What would you want to talk to her about?
Well, I want to ask, I guess we already saw a lot of it, was asked and was answered by her, supposedly. And we, kind of have to believe her. And there is a credibility issue with her because she's changed her story multiple times. So there is that front as well. But I think Anderson Cooper pressured her and asked her what he had to, got the questions answered that we all wanted as a nation, and we found out something about her. I think we got a little bit more in depth, and we found out some very newsworthy angles once again, such as the potential of that hitman. How about Michael Cohen paying himself all that money to her to shut her up? The hush money right before the presidential election? All of that stuff is very newsworthy and costly to Donald Trump politically and maybe to him staying in office a full 4 years. Maybe he becomes impeached because of those incidents. And, regardless of the Russia investigation and what it does actually find on Trump, which there could still be dirt, right, out there to find about him and what he has involved with
Two
that
Bad
Russia
Hombres
investigation.
have Stormy Daniels.
I would be willing. I'm thinking it's all right. It's journalistically all right to have her in studio to talk with us.
Now, real quickly before we
Yes.
get out of here, we got to bring up something that's important to us, something that we are close to. Bacari Alexander was let go
Yes.
from his position this week. It was kind of shocking to see it come across the wire. ESPN had sources. They broke the news earlier on Monday this week that Bacari Alexander, after 2 years on the job, let go, fired unbelievable news. You and I kind of joked about it. I mean, I was surprised by some people who said they were totally shocked by it. I mean, some people had asked me, what would you ask them after the Horizon League tournament game? And I said, well, one of the questions you probably want to ask is, do you really think you deserve your job? Because of the fact that Bacari was on the job for 2 years and he did not win many games. So it's a winning business. Everybody knows that. When you win 8 games year one and you come back and you follow that up with 8 wins year 2, and most of those wins were collected by Jermaine Jackson,
the interim head coach now at Detroit Mercy.
And then you have a salacious incident, a 7-game suspension. It kind of made for this to happen, and so I'm not really surprised by it. I am surprised, though, if you have a 5-year deal and you're making $400,000 to $500,000 per year and you're on year 2, that a university would pay you out, and that would probably indicate that the cost to the university might have been significantly more had they kept him on. So, and everything's about money. Everything usually does break down to money and wins at the same time. So there's probably the easy way to look at it is the family threatened to sue, and they would sue for more than $1.5 million if he was retained on staff. So there's like, look, if we pay the $1.3 million, maybe we just get out for $1 million straight if we agree to a buyout, and we can get out from under this. They pulled the trigger. What'd you make of it?
Well, the incident in practice where he told the player, Tariq Jones, to grab his genitalia, which was reported by a friend of the podcast, and Perry A. Farrell from the Detroit Free Press, now covering sports once again for the Freep. He broke the news. He wrote the story about the incident. That, in my opinion, ultimately cost him. Now, he was horrible record-wise. His first 2 seasons, his only 2 seasons now on the job as head coach at Detroit Mercy, winning 8 games of both years, and also losing 24 this past season, a single-season record for losses by a Detroit Mercy men's basketball team. So he didn't have the winning to back him up to keep his job going into his 3rd year. And for me, God, they really didn't want him to be the head coach because you know they're not doing that well financially as an athletic department. They're in the red from what I've heard. So letting him go, buying him out for the remaining 3 years of his contract, that tells you how much they wanted him gone because that's a lot of money to pay him for to buy him out the remaining 3 years of his contract that he had as head coach at Detroit Mercy.
Understood. And some reporters have already come out and started asking some people. Dane Fife, coach at Michigan State, not interested in the job. Most people do believe Jermaine Jackson's going to take over right now as the interim head coach, and it seems like a smoother transition right now. Somebody that's been on staff, that's been on multiple staffs, and he also has his son playing for the program as well. It just seems like right now, University of Detroit Mercy basketball hoops starting from the ground up.
Well, now you have to, and Jermaine Jackson is not the answer the long term. I'll make that statement right now. He's not the answer long term. And the bad thing for Detroit Mercy men's hoops now moving forward is Bacari Alexander was once viewed as a long-term savior of the men's hoops program. Think about that, and now he's gone. So who's the alternative? And who's going to want the job like that? Dane Fife from Michigan State, he doesn't want the job. What young guy out there now, hotshot assistant, is going to want this job to be his first head coaching gig at the D1 level? There's not many men or women out there right now that would want this job. Think about it, John.
Maybe you go out there and you throw the big bucks at Porter Moser.
I don't know. The thing is, he's not going to go there. Why would he go there right now? He's got a great thing going, 30-plus wins, a Final Four appearance, all the sister Jean, Paraphernalia, and Love, and he's not leaving that job. Never a Detroit Mercy gig. And the thing is, how much can you pay now the next head coach?
Yeah.
Because you have all that money to pay Bacari for the next 3 years that he's gone, not even on the campus of Detroit Mercy as a head coach. So who are you going to pay now? You know, have the money to pay, and who's going to be willing to come on for maybe a contract that he believes isn't maybe matching up to his standards, to what he's worth financially. So think about those two aspects and how that could limit who Detroit Mercy hires to be its next head coach. And that's why I think you could say it's likely that, sad but true, and maybe it's horrible to say sad but true, but Jermaine Jackson gets the job and coaches his son. Think about that. I mean, Jermaine Jackson, who was an assistant under Ray McCallum, the previous head coach, and now was the assistant, one of the top assistants under Bacari in the 2 years of Bacari at Detroit Mercy. And now he becomes the head coach. Well, if he does, that's because his son's on the team and also because they want to save money because they know they don't have to pay him as much to become the next Detroit Mercy head coach.
So who was the final person to interview Bacari Alexander at Callahan Hall?
Was it us?
It was Vito Churko, the only person who showed up at Senior Day.
Senior Day. That's right. The last game he played at Callahan Hall, I was there. I was the only media member there. And he was loving me then. Guess what? It's funny. We talked about it off there. He unfollowed me already. Probably didn't want me to ask about what the hell happened. And did they give you Detroit Mercy? Did Detroit Mercy give you reasons for your dismissal? Even though I think we already know clear cut why he was fired. Poor win-loss record and the incident at practice, which was uncalled for. No head coach, even a Coach K, even a Coach Izzo. I don't think those guys, Doc, can even get away with that. Bacari had to be smarter. And guess what? It cost him his first crack at it as a D1 head coach. And will he ever get another job? as a head coach. Maybe not, Doc.
A lot of people are saying maybe he goes back to Michigan if there's an opening. But at the same time, I do think a year off. Dude, if you're making that much money, if the buyout's that good, you take a year off, kind of regroup, do some personal development, maybe do some TV analysis, things like that, and rebuild your reputation and maybe take a smaller job, even smaller than Detroit Mercy. Maybe you take a job when one of these coaches leaves for a bigger job and you try your best to get a team to the tournament because it just seemed like he wasn't given a fair shake. And at the same time, the combination of what he did versus what the university could offer to, it just seemed like a bad fit. It's just really tough right now because you would think that Detroit Mercy is going to need a coach at least 5 years to get something off the ground. Starting from
how long
square
will
one.
it take? Because he sunk the program.
Yeah.
It was already not at a great level, and then he sunk it to the ground, right? I mean, you have to build from the ground up now to produce anything, to be able to sustain any kind of productivity and winning on a consistent basis. And that's not going to happen right away. Yeah, it's not going to with the next head coach, whether it be Jermaine Jackson or somebody else.
Yep. Well, it's unfortunate. We will see. Obviously, you and I cover Detroit Mercy hoops, and it will be interesting to see who the next man in charge will be.
And who's winning the Metro Series rivalry even more right now is Oakland and Greg Campy.
34 years. Unbelievable, huh?
A lot of, sustainability. The longevity, that matters too, especially, I believe, Doc, at those smaller schools. When you have that sustainability, that longevity, as much as Greg Campy has had, I think it matters to recruits. And guess what? OU's already out-recruited Detroit Mercy for a long, long time, and now being both in the Horizon League and now with what happened at Detroit Mercy this past season, Bacari being ousted, guess what? Greg Campy will continue now and even more and more out-recruit Detroit Mercy and the next head coach, whether it be Jermaine Jackson or somebody else once again.
All right, Vito, great stuff. I really enjoyed this conversation. Very interesting stuff, sir.
It got stormy at times, didn't it, Doc?
Salacious. Your field kind of sold itself out. I'm sorry to say journalism is now all about clicks and eyeballs, and the days of the Walter Cronkites, the days of really hard-hitting professional news are over. 24-hour news has made it now where if you're a sex star and you're having sex with the president, we put you right up there on the television. 60 Minutes put them on there. And then you had the one of the hosts of CNN's, late night programming doing an interview with a porn star talking about sex. And that's what you got to live with it. You got 20 million eyeballs. If that's what you want to be about, I wouldn't probably. I mean, if Stormy Daniels comes in here, I probably will.
Oh, you're not going to ask her anything or say, hey, get out of here, Stormy. You're not good enough for this podcast.
I'm probably not going to say
really?
No, but we'll probably ask her different type things in different kind of
Hey, how's your career going? What's the next video you're going to do? Could we maybe get a preview of it before it's released? Because you want to do the preview. I know you, Doc.
Maybe we'll ask psychologically, what was it like, going through this with children?
The pain, the mental toll, right? I mean, the mental psyche of her, isn't the same as it once was after dealing with all this stuff with the guy that is now the sitting president. God.
What a boss.
He's a president?
What a G. He's an OG.
What a bust he is as president. Anyways, we'll move on from all of that and wrap up things now on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I'm Vito Churko signing off, and that is the Doc from Doc and Jock.
See everybody next week. Thank you so much.